Hello, and welcome to Wednesday at 1, otherwise known as part 2 of How Not to Be a Silly Arse. So, last week I was fretting about having my prostate exam. It wasn't a written exam, it was more of a personal exam, and I've been avoiding it for a long, long time, and having fantasies of what if I'm dying of prostate cancer, or there's something up, or my wife's grandfather had a prostatectomy and it left him paralysed. I mean, he died a few years ago to 100, so it's a long time ago. But it's like all these what ifs, and also partly the fear of having someone put their fingers up my bum and checking if I'm healthy. And also partly just not bothering, being busy and thinking, I should. And then finding that in my moments of rest and peace, as it's supposed to be, I would, like I used to do in the old days when I was a kid, I remember walking down the road one day and feeling really happy, like whistling a happy tune, and all of that. And then suddenly it was like panic, fear, and it was, oh my God, I'm out of control. What was wrong? And then I remembered something bad or something I was stressed about or something I was worried about. And I felt a lot happier because it was a lot more familiar in those days. So thankfully, I've shifted my default from trying to find trouble to shoot and plates to spin and living from fear into living calmly and nicely. So in that moment of calm, I found myself looking for trouble. And I looked for I haven't checked, maybe I've got cancer, that fantasy that crosses my mind, amongst all sorts of other nice things and not so nice things, the way things pass. And it wasn't there. It was, I've done it and I'm fine. So it was last Thursday I had it done. And then Thursday afternoon, we did the MenSpeak radio show, and we talked about it. And a guy from Prostate Cancer UK came on, and that was cool, really excellent guy. And we had a really good show with Adam. So I'm dressed like this in respect of Adam because his father was a spy, and I thought I should look like a spy because, actually, I have to go to a client dinner later. Anyway, so really good show, and I talked about it, but I was also, I was very real about it because the things that did concern me were pain, embarrassment, awkwardness. I think I'm far too English these days, and it's an important thing. So many people, the figures are ridiculous of how many people die of prostate cancer, and it could have been sorted if they checked. And I've been telling people in the groups, I've been telling clients, we even had Prostate Cancer UK come into one of the groups to give a talk about it. So we all hassled each other to do it, and I didn't do it. So I'll tell you exactly what happened, and it wasn't, now I can talk about it, I vaguely even remember it. It was not traumatic, it was not a big deal. But in a nutshell, I was not bent over or on my back. I was on my side facing the wall, and so there was no kind of awkwardness or embarrassment or anything. And in no time, he was examining, he said, I'm going to start examining now. And what was good is, rather than me pretending not to be there and him pretending not to be there, he was basically saying, well, that's fine, and that's fine, I'll go around the front, and that's fine. And it was reassuring just to know. And it was done in no time. It was not a problem. I can't say it was pleasant, I can't say it was horrible, I can't say it was grossly out, because it's past, it's gone. A couple of minutes or a few seconds or something, gone. And I was, silly though it is, I was a bit, what did we do? Did we shake hands? Did we make eye contact? Did we talk for a long time? What was surprising is he didn't do a lot. He was saying it's not necessary. There was stuff going on about, have the blood test, PSA test and stuff, and I said that's all well and good. So even though I told the doctors that's where I was going, and I chose a male doctor who wasn't with huge banana hands or anything like that, even though I carefully sorted it out and it was on the files, it's like he didn't seem to know. And then I needed to almost push him, not push it, I could have easily said, okay, don't worry, I'll just have the blood test. Partly, I have to admit, partly because I was on here last week saying, I'm going to have it done. I could not come back and say, he talked me out of it. My ego's too big for that. So, job done. And I guess my paranoia, because we haven't got the recording back of the MenSpeak radio from last week, so that will be back this week and we need to listen to it. My paranoia is that because Prostate Cancer UK want to listen to it urgently before we release anything, my paranoia is that I went there saying that I didn't want a female doctor doing it, especially someone I know what it might be. There were also fears, not necessarily mine, but I've heard of this before, of people thinking, well, what if I have an erection, or what if I ejaculate? And maybe they don't like that I said that because is that rude or something? But for me, if people have fears that these things might happen, they need to be addressed. So the fears are named and people go and get sorted, find out how they are, probably fine, and if not, then sort it out. But no, all of that was totally discreet. It's not like I needed to get naked or anything. So it's just like drop my pants a bit type thing. But yeah, I would rather say what happened and how simple and respectful and easy it was, so people go and get checked, because why should I be the only one? Anyway, so compulsive checking. I'm going to take a sip of this. I was a huge, not just compulsive checker. I used to check the doors, the windows, the lights, the cooker, the fridge and freezer, if my parents and brother were breathing, the doors, my pockets, my bag, and then I'd double check just in case. And I was scared that someone might come in or something might, I remember an episode of The Waltons that I watched when I was really young. And in this episode of The Waltons, John Boy he didn't want to be John Boy anymore. I think he wanted to be John Dude. So John Dude started smoking this kind of pipe thing, trying to be a man. And he'd do it every now and again. And Olivia, perfect as she is, she was concerned, but leave him. And John Walton was, yes, he's just trying to be a man. And all the other kids didn't have anything to say because they're second-class citizens after John Boy. Anyway, cut a long story short, the house burnt down and then they found out it was because of John Boy's, pipe thing. So I've always since then had this fear of what if especially being refugees and losing everything, it's like, what if I burn down what we have? Or what if the freezer went off and I accidentally banged it with my bag and then all our foods melted and gone off, and I had fears. I had obsessive compulsive disorder, and Tourette's, tics, grunts, things like that. Actually, I've been working with a couple of people with Tourette's. Suddenly there are a load of Tourette's people contacting me. I remember when I gave a talk at Alternatives at St. James, in part of the spiel about me is I had Tourette's. And I was astounded that there were a good half dozen people who came, and a lot of other people who were not leaving the house because of their tics and stuff. Because they wanted to see someone who used to have Tourette's that's no longer ticking or twitching or anything like that. So I'm working with a couple of people. I've got some more Tourette's people, and suddenly I'm in the valley of the Tourette's working with an old issue of mine. So I had Tourette's. I'd pick it myself and pull my hair to relieve anxiety, I guess. Had eating disorders. I was a proper basket case. I had all of that going on. So a lot of it was fear of losing everything, fear of causing harm, fear of things going wrong, and I guess my need to control, my need to spin all the plates, and I was kind of like toxic and in panic. And it became an addiction. It's almost like my body was addicted to the adrenaline that would be kicked out through fear. And I would then, in order to try and self-soothe, pretty much fantasize about the people who are angry at me or the things that are wrong and figure out how to fix them to pretend to be in control, where what I was really scared of was the future, the unknown, what life holds, or anything apart from what I was trying to control in my head. The bottom line is, I never actually fixed anything or sorted anything out through my thinking, through my compulsive thinking and compulsive checking. I never sorted anything out. By the way, with compulsive checking, if you do check the doors and stuff like that, take a photo on your iPhone, have the time and day, and then you can check that. How's that for a tip? So, yeah, with the whole compulsive checking thing and the whole addiction to adrenaline and cortisol, I needed to just basically stop checking. And it was the scariest thing. It was almost as if I was opening myself up stupidly to being so vulnerable that anything bad could happen that I should have thought of, or that is my fault, or that, not even I'd be found out for. It was more a guilt thing. So I guess, in a nutshell, and I've spieled this so many times, in a nutshell, what I had to learn to do was, when I found myself lost in space, compulsive checking, trying to figure things out, not breathing, and drenched in adrenaline, I would notice, and in that second, without another thought, I'd take a deep breath in, and I'd think, thank you for reminding me who I used to be, and as I breathe out, I would take part with what's in front of me, and nothing else exists. So it's thank you for reminding me who I used to be. It's not bad. Give gratitude for, if it wasn't for those addictions, I wouldn't be I Spy Private Eye sitting here talking to you now. So thank you for saving my life. Now it's time to have a life. Thank you for reminding me who I used to be, surviving. Now I'm taking part with what's in front of me and living. And what's in front of me right now is you lot. So I think I've spieled plenty. I guess I should tell you a couple of things, like camping. We're getting all of that sorted. We're going to put out a newsletter soon, so please book to come camping. Last 2 days in June, first day of July, and we're going to, camp. Hang out and eat and light fires, and we've got a couple of things up our sleeves actually. A lot of blokes actually have so much going on in their heads. This takes us back. I'm starting again, I know. Okay, babbling, not saying what they're thinking, but I'll think about it. I'll get it right. I won't offend anyone. I won't miss anything out. I won't be critical. And all of that goes in the head and it doesn't come out. And I have found babbling to be so incredibly effective. We do it in the men's groups, and it's a process I do when I run workshops. And babbling just gets all the rubbish out and loosens things up, and then whatever comes out beyond the suppressed babble in daily life can then be adjusted rather than everything held back. So babbling and the babble pen. And then beyond that, there's so much rage that's held back and so much suppression. Maybe it's sadness, maybe it's so much creative energy that's held back, that we're going to make a space to shout it all out. So there's going to be shenanigans at Men Camp, Men's Health Week next month, and we're going to do stuff like go to, I think on the Monday, go to a comedy place at Angel. I don't remember what's happening on Tuesday. Do you remember, Bertie? And then Wednesday, Bertie's doing do you know what? Go to themanwhisperer.co.uk and sign up to the newsletter, stay in the loop, and we'll tell you everything that's going on. Fun, joy, and laughter, hopefully in the sunshine. And breathe.